10,000 voices were singing under the static, and I was the first person in 40 years to hear them. My hands shook over the console. On the waveform, a swell rose and fell like breathing. It had been there the whole time, buried, patient, impossibly alive. For 4 decades, the array logged this channel as dead air, frequency 1420, tagged in the catalog with a single cold word: static. The colony called Meridian had gone quiet, and this final burst was all that reached us. No one could find a signal inside it, so no one looked. My name is Ada Van. My grandmother helped seed Meridian 31 light years out before the relays failed. I grew up on her stories of a world I'd never see. When the archive job opened, I took it for one reason: to hear the place she never stopped grieving. Everyone told me the file was empty, not silent, worse, full of hiss, the sound of the universe itself, hydrogen humming across empty distance. My supervisor smiled sadly. Sometimes a last transmission is just a machine dying, he said. Sometimes there's nothing to find. I nodded, and I stayed late. But I knew a secret every signal hunter knows. Static is not nothing. A message can hide below the noise floor, too faint to see, still fully there. Distance thins a signal until it drowns. The question was never whether Meridian spoke. It was whether we could still hear it. I ran the recording through the old filters and found the first strange thing. The carrier drifted, sliding slowly across the band, a smear where a clean tone should be. Doppler. The source had been moving, fast, its frequency stretched and shifted. Something at Meridian had been traveling when it sang, so I de-drifted it, bent the correction to follow the slide, unstretching the motion the way you'd steady a photo of a moving train. The smear tightened, not into a voice, not yet, into structure, a faint, repeating shape, rising every few seconds like a pulse that refused to die. Repetition. That was the crack in the door. Random noise never repeats, but this did, over and over, the same swell in the same place. And repetition is a gift. Fold a signal on its own rhythm, stack every copy, and the noise cancels while the truth grows louder. So I folded it. Layer on layer, the hiss thinned and something rose out of it. A contour, a melody's ghost, too slow to recognize. It moved like language, played at the wrong speed. And then I understood the second strange thing. It wasn't slow. It was fast, compressed, squeezed to survive the crossing. Meridian had packed its message tight to punch through the void, then flung it across 3 decades of dark. At full speed, it read as garbage. So I did the simplest, most reckless thing. I slowed it down. 10 times. 20. 40. And I put on the headphones and listened. The first thing I heard was not static, it was warmth. A low, layered hum shaped like a chest full of air. My skin went cold. I told myself it was pareidolia, the mind inventing voices and noise, the oldest trap in this whole trade. So I fought it. I tried to prove myself wrong. For 3 nights I attacked it, stripped filters, changed the fold, hunted for the artifact that had to be fooling me. Every test made it clearer, not weaker. Real signals sharpen under scrutiny, ghosts dissolve. This one refused to dissolve. By the 4th night, I stopped trying to disprove the dead, because now I could count them. Not one voice, many, thousands overlapping, so dense they had summed into that seamless roar, the way a stadium crowd blurs to white noise from far enough away. Slowed and unfolded, the crowd pulled apart into individual throats, and they were all doing the same thing. Oh, they were singing a slow, rising melody, deliberate, in perfect unison. Verse and return, verse and return, the shape of a song built to be sung together. My grandmother's stories surfaced from somewhere deep. I had heard this shape before, hummed over a kitchen sink, 31 light years from where it was born. It was the anthem, Meridian's anthem, the one the first settlers wrote on the crossing, the one my grandmother taught me before I could read. That was why it survived where words would not. A speech is fragile, but an anthem repeats, and 10,000 voices in unison reinforce each other against the dark. I sat with that. A final transmission is supposed to be data, coordinates, a distress call, numbers thrown at the sky by a machine. But Meridian hadn't sent numbers. It had sent everyone. Every colonist gathered in one place at one moment, aiming their song at a planet none of them had ever touched. And I understood the drift, finally. The Doppler slide, the fast compression. Meridian wasn't broadcasting from a steady world. It was falling, an orbit decaying, or a world spinning away, the whole colony accelerating toward whatever ended them. They knew they had time for exactly one message, and they chose to sing. Then, the cruelest part landed. This song crossed 31 years of space to reach me, which meant the singing was already over before I was born. Every voice in my headphones had been gone for decades. I was not hearing Meridian, I was hearing its light, a moment long dead, still traveling. I found the end of the recording and slowed it to almost nothing, stretching their final seconds into an hour of my own life. The voices did not falter. They did not scatter into panic. They held the last note together, thousands of them, steady, and then, one by one, they simply stopped. After the last voice, there was static again. But it wasn't the same static now. It was the sound of an empty room where a choir had stood. 40 years the array had filed that emptiness under nothing. 40 years the song sat in the archive, complete, waiting for one person to slow down. In the morning, I brought it to my supervisor. I didn't explain the folding or the drift. I just handed him the headphones and watched his face change. The disbelief, then the stillness, then the thing behind his eyes he couldn't hide. When it ended, he sat quiet a long time. "Play it again," he whispered. "We can't answer them." There's no one left at Meridian to hear, and even if there were, our reply would arrive 31 years too late. But we did one thing. We recorded ourselves. The whole facility, everyone who worked that array, singing their anthem back into the sky. A reply that will never land. I sent a copy home to my grandmother. She's 90 now, her memory going soft at the edges. She couldn't name the day of the week. But when the song began, her lips moved. Every word. The melody had crossed light years and a lifetime to find her, and it found her exactly where she was. Space carries no sound. No air, no voice, nothing to hear. What crossed those 31 years was only a whisper of radio, silent until a machine turned it back into song. And yet it carried this, a chorus dressed as static, a whole world's last breath, waiting 40 years for someone to stop and slow down and listen.